Welcome to DasGeek. Let me hit you with a number that's going to shock you. 67. I'm sorry. I could not help myself. That's not in the script. That's not, I have two kids. You got to forgive me. The real number I'm going to hit you with is 2 billion. 2 billion. That is how many people use WhatsApp every single month. 2 billion people. That is a quarter of the entire planet. And when you have a database that's 2 billion people full of all of their records, conversations, memes, everything, you aren't just a messaging app anymore. You're a target. You're a target for hackers. You're a target for governments, and a target for the company that makes 97% plus of its profit by selling your data. Now, you've probably at some point been told by some tech CEO or even popular YouTubers, WhatsApp is safe. Maybe they don't say it in those exact words, but you see them using WhatsApp. They have it on their phone. They talk about talking to their friends on WhatsApp. It's all implanted, right, on purpose. And the thing is, when they do talk about it in any technical terms, the big thing they'll say is it uses the Signal protocol. It's end-to-end encrypted. And everyone who knows anything about security knows that Signal protocol is one of the best encryptions out there. So why would you use it and not just Signal? We'll get into that. But that's an interesting thing that they like to claim. Well, it uses the Signal protocol, so therefore it's got to be safe as Signal, right? Well, just use Signal. Why is it anything different? Why isn't it open source? Well, a new massive lawsuit filed in San Francisco says to that, hey, we're using the Signal protocol so we're safe and we have encryption end to end. They say, nay, not so fast. Today, we're going to look at claims that Meta has a literal God mode to read your messages, or in other words, a piece of middleware or a widget that allows authorized employees to bypass WhatsApp's encryption entirely. Now, Signal's encryption protocol is near perfect, unbreakable. As unbreakable of an encryption as we know that exists. So if you create a backdoor into it, it's no longer using Signal's protocol. It's its own thing at this point. And they're not here cracking the math, right? This isn't some tool that somebody created, some security company that works with the government or whatever. They're not guessing your password. The claim is basically they could just flip a switch and view your messages. And according to the suit, if a specific user is targeted, an engineer can generate a task, get it approved through whoever needs to approve it. Who knows what that chain looks like in a company as big as Meta. And suddenly all your messages are visible. The real-time messages, your past messages, deleted messages, the stuff you wanted to hide, all of it completely visible. So if this is true, well, let's be honest. I would be more shocked if it wasn't true. Now, I'm not saying it works exactly as this lawsuit is claiming to, but when you look at the big picture, you got 2 billion people using a single app, and the company you think doesn't have a backdoor for the governments to use? Ain't no way. That's my opinion, in case any lawyers are watching from Meta. You see, encryption is supposed to be like an all or nothing. If you have a backdoor at your house, and that backdoor is supposed to be just for you and your family. However, if a robber comes around, they want to rob you, they're not going to go to the back door and see a sign that says family only and go, nah, oh man, I won't use that door. That's for Ryan's family to use. You see, once you have a back door and encryption, it's completely worthless, in my opinion. And if you're a person of interest, like maybe a journalist, a political dissident, or you just made the wrong person mad, Meta can theoretically be compelled to hand over all of your data. And that can be damaging to anyone and everyone to have all of that information that you think is private, that you trust is private, because inside WhatsApp, it says all your messages are end-to-end encrypted, only you could see them, and find out that that's not truly the case. Now you might be saying like, but DasGeek, they can't hand over what they can't read. It's encrypted. But here's the thing that's really interesting about this. Even if it turns out that they don't have this God mode and flip switch, they can hand over the keys if you're using cloud backups. So that's another thing, is your messages get backed up into the cloud. So end-to-end encrypted, but we know they're taking metadata off the top. We'll get into that in a second. But then there's a backup option for the cloud. And if you back up your WhatsApp to the cloud, you have to specify specifically that you want encrypted backup setting turned on, which means it's not on by default. So even if there's not a backdoor, which me personally couldn't imagine there's not, if you're storing backups, which I bet most of you do, and you didn't go and purposefully click that you wanted that backup encrypted, well, now they can just hand over the cloud information. So why is this happening? Why are there so many potential gotchas, backdoors, and metadata hoarding? I talk about this on Destination Linux this week. The episode should be out Tuesday, maybe around the same time this video drops, maybe just after, before. Anyways, just look for it, DL451. And in it, I talk about some other companies doing very similar things. We talk about encryption with BitLocker and some other stuff that's also out in the news. Basically, what we're learning is all of this encryption from these big companies is a bunch of gotchas. It's a bunch of really well-marketed, hey, we're private. And what that does is people, unfortunately, will always choose convenience over privacy. And the companies that do get people to come over to them, generally their services are more difficult to sign up for or to utilize, or they're not as flashy or pretty, or they don't have as many GIFs inside of them. If you say GIFs, get out of my chat right now. It's GIF, just so we're clear. So all of this really comes down to, when you look at a company that's claiming to be private, you have to look at their business model. WhatsApp is owned by Meta. You know, the artist formerly known as Facebook. They sell one thing, your data, advertising. And to sell that advertising, why they're so successful at selling advertising is because they get your data. They need your metadata. They want to know who you talk to, when, where, and they want to build a profile on that to sell ads. And we know that WhatsApp definitely collects metadata. So they weren't able to see in your messages, but they can see other metadata around those messages. That is just a known fact. But you're supposed to have this encryption in the message. And the incentive is that they offer you this free service that is storing, think about this, the free service. You pay nothing for WhatsApp, no monthly subscription fees, no even premium service fees, nothing. And they're storing billions of messages. They have 2 billion users. So imagine how many messages these people are sending every day. 2 billion users, all their messages, all their photos, all their memes, all the cat videos. Think about the cats. Everything that you send there is more information for them. And the more they know, the more money they can make. So what do you think their incentive is to having WhatsApp in the first place? Just so they can get a little bit of metadata on you that doesn't mean anything and doesn't matter? It matters to them. It matters to their advertisers. It matters to the government too. Now let's compare that with Signal, actual Signal, not just the protocol of Signal that WhatsApp uses to claim it's private, but actually Signal. Signal is owned by the Signal Foundation. In their business model, well, they're a nonprofit. They exist solely off of donations. Their incentive is literally privacy. They have no shareholders asking for all this quarterly growth, 18,000% growth every week that all these stupid shareholders want, and run these companies into the ground, and companies treat their employees like crap as a result. Anyways, that's a whole nother video. But the whole quarterly growth thing, that doesn't happen with Signal. They don't have any of that stuff to answer to. The shareholders are not their overlords. Additionally, unlike WhatsApp, Signal is open source,
meaning we can actually go look physically at the code. It's on GitHub right now, and you can review it and see how it's handling your data. And you may be like, but I'm not a coder. Well, this would be a great use case for AI. Go take that code, dump it into AI, and say, hey, is there anything in here that looks like a backdoor? You know, utilize those resources for something other than like, what's the best honey in my local area? And then we burn up 1,000 GPUs and price RAM goes through to answer your question. Signal collects virtually zero data. Meta collects everything they can get away with. There is also Session, if you're looking for an alternative to Signal, and it doesn't even require a phone number to sign up. Signal requires you to use a phone number to sign up. That's kind of how they keep people from not only faking sign-ups, but also making sure that you can find other people who are on Signal. But Session, you just get a Session ID. So I like Session for that purpose, but Signal's great as well. Anything's better than WhatsApp in your default instant messenger, whether that's iMessage or Google Message, one of 7 Google Message apps, whichever one they're on now. When you use WhatsApp, you're fighting against the company's own financial interests to keep your data private, meaning it's not in their best interest to do so. And those financial interests not only rely on stockholders, but they also heavily rely on the government. See, governments basically have become welfare, and they pass laws along with corporate lobbyists in there helping to get those laws passed. And in return for funds for the officials to be reelected and also to get special favors, like insider trading information, for example. So generally, you know, these special favors for the corporations can be merger approvals, keeping foreign competition out of the market, likely what's happening with RAM right now, approving, you know, tax incentives, loopholes for them so that they don't have to pay certain taxes, you know, the whole works. That's what we do for corporations. None of us individuals get that. Corporations are people too, if you remember. Not to get political, I'm just talking about like what we all know. This stuff's already out there. This isn't a mystery. This isn't a conspiracy theory. Like, this is just fact, right? We saw all these companies do this. They basically just admit to it up front now. We know there's lobbyists out there. There was even a situation where literally the certification, was it the CompTIA? The certification for repairing stuff ended up getting so corrupt that they were lobbying against the right to repair. Like, the certification to train people to repair is lobbying with the corporations who don't want to give you the right to repair the stuff. That it's so, this world is so stupid. It's like something happened. I think I mentioned this in my last video, where the timeline just switched to a really stupid timeline. And now the movie Idiocracy is no longer a movie, it's a documentary. Me and my boss were laughing about that comment I made earlier this week, because that's just how it feels now. Idiocracy is just literally a documentary. And remember the banks, if you don't believe anything I'm saying right now, and you're like, I read on my social media that corporations are all our friends, and they believe what I believe. Remember the banks that were too big to fail, and we had to bail them all out? Yeah, that's pretty much the entire tech sector right now. They're too big to fail. There's nothing that they can do and not get away with it. And the government has found ways now to basically purchase data so that they don't have to, they can't go legally, although they're probably just doing it now anyways, because whatever. But they technically can't just go and take your data without subpoenas and court orders and all that stuff. But they can buy it from these companies. They can buy it. They can buy all the data on you that those companies have. And so that's kind of a loophole that they have. Just another little loophole in our laws, like, oh, the government has to get a subpoena and they have to get court orders and the judge has to sign it, which we know that's not even a huge barrier. But they don't have to do that anymore. They can just go to Facebook and be like, give me all the data on DasGeek, and, you know, well, they already have. Listen, I know for a fact my videos, several of them, specifically the video that I did talking about slave labor in tech, got my channel, all the algorithms changed immediately after that video. So either everyone hated that video, which the statistics say otherwise, or Somehow that video got buried, and my channel got buried during that time after it got released. And then the last video I just created, the video before that was like 6,000 views the first day. The next video, it was like 100. And that video, of course, was like this one, which is also probably going to get flagged. It's not very nice to the companies that host this wonderful platform for us. So on the flip side, when you use Signal or Session, I'm smiling because like I just keep digging myself further in holes, and I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to tell you all the truth. That's all I can do. Like, and if the video gets 25 views, so be it. The company's entire existence and reputation for Signal and Session is that they can keep your data safe. That's all they have. If they lose that, if we find out there's a back door in there, those companies are completely wiped out. If WhatsApp has that, they've still got Facebook, they've still got all the Instagram and all the other apps and everything else out there. There's really almost zero incentive for them not to take your data. 2 billion users is a lot of peer pressure. I get why so many people use it. In other countries outside the US especially, WhatsApp's even more popular, and that's because of the cost of messaging and things. You know, if you remember back in the day, telecom would charge you per messages and stuff. And as I understand it, as people who've written me have told me that in other countries, that's how telecoms still run, where you get charged per message and data usage is very costly and things. So WhatsApp allows you to circumvent that in a lot of ways. And that's why a lot of people use it. Your grandma's probably on WhatsApp. Your bowling league's probably on WhatsApp. People still have bowling leagues. Your roller skating league, look at me dating myself. Your roller skating buddy league is probably on WhatsApp. So I get why everybody wants to use it. But if you care about your digital life, you need to migrate. If you're one of those people who are like, they have everything on me anyways, I give up. I get it. Please don't. Please don't give up. Put up a fight. I'm giving you tips on this channel to make privacy easy. You could tell there's nothing I do that makes you jump through hoops and do crazy things. Get off Gmail, go to Proton Mail. It's a simple sign up process, very simple. I'm putting links to the Proton blog. I'm going to put links to Session and Signal below. Click them, check them out, send them to your family group chat, ironically on WhatsApp, and then get them to move over. You know, send the blog posts. Tell them this messaging platform isn't secure. Grandma, your cookie recipe you sent, everyone has it now. Stop trusting companies that view your privacy as a marketing ploy. Follow the money trail. If you like this video, click that like button because this will certainly get buried in the algorithm otherwise. And if you can write a program that likes the like button from the Linux terminal, that's really cool. Even better, send me the code for that because that's cool. Not something that cheats and just likes a bunch, but like if for your personal account, you can run it through a terminal and it'll like this video. That would be a dope. I don't know why I just thought of that. Also, subscribe for more privacy truth bombs, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, check out Deviant Airwaves, where, you know, this channel, along with Destination Linux podcast, me and Jill, if you know the Destination Linux podcast, 50/50 partners in Deviant Airwaves, it's amazing. Check out deviantairwaves.com, all the stuff we've got there. It's so much fun. Until next time, get out there and fill your brains.